Hey everyone, this is Keith with CampWorks. In this quick video, we will give you a crash course on upgrading to version 3.11. And so we will do a full video on each of the new features later to explain how to use all of the new features. But in this video, we'll focus primarily on the key changes in the main operation so that you can get up and started quickly. So first thing you'll notice on startup that there's a message that says monthly statements due to be created. If you're using our monthly billing feature, it will automatically go to the quick list and show you and warn you that, hey, there are reservations that are ready to have statements created or meter readings entered. And, backup is now built in and automatic. One important thing that I want to let you know about, as you can see, here's the message that says it's been 2 days since the last backup. Normally you won't see a message on startup if it's backing up every night and everything is working perfectly. If for some reason there's a problem, then you'll start to see this message appearing that it has not been backing up. You will also receive emails. But the most important thing I wanted to let you know is we've now been able to eliminate the requirement that CampWorks is open and on the main screen. We used to require that for backup to work, you had to leave it open only on the server and on this screen, and then it would perform the backup. Essentially now the backup is done by a service that's running in the background, and CampWorks can be left open, closed, shut down, whatever. You just need to have the main computer on. And as long as the main computer is on, CampWorks will do its backup automatically. So just making it more consistent and reliable without you having to worry about leaving CampWorks in a certain no-one state, and that you may want to do that. So let's first go into setup and look at some of the new features that you'll need to set up immediately, or some of the changes that you'll need to set up immediately upon 3.11. So the first area, as you should be aware of by now, that we are implementing a per reservation fee instead of the maintenance fees and the online backup fees that we used to do. This fee is a change, and you have the opportunity to pass this fee on to your customers, essentially to make the software free for you. So to do that, I'm going to go through the setup. We will add a new fee, and this will be a reservation fee. Notice there are some other types of fees up here also that I will touch on next, but let's add this one. So this is a per reservation fee, and you can call it whatever you want. Let's call it a booking fee. You may choose to call it an administration fee, a reservation fee, whatever you want. And we're going to put in the $1, hit OK. Now that fee has been added. A couple of other types of fees that you can choose to use if you want. Let's add another one. Credit card surcharge fee you can add in. Again, you can call it whatever you want. You have to, well, CampWorks has the ability to do this, and by the way, you can only use this if you're using our integrated Card Connect processing. And what it will do is automatically add on a fee of your choosing, of a percentage, to do a credit card fee. So let's call this a convenience fee. And we'll put that at 3%. Now, you need to check your local laws. Each state is different. We provide the capability for you to do this, but not every state is it legal to add on credit card surcharges. And there's also rules about whether how much you can charge. Like, you can't charge more than what the credit card processor is charging you. So I'm just going to put this in at 3, and by the way, it will not charge this fee on a debit card. It'll only do it on a credit card. Okay, and then the last one I'm going to show you, actually I have one already set up in here, and this was in last year's release, but I'll also just quickly point it out while we're here. You can do a guaranteed site fee, and just another way for you to collect more information or more dollars from your guests if you would like to use this fee. And this guaranteed site fee essentially is if someone checks this, they want to be guaranteed that they get this site, you can charge a fee for that service, where you essentially are not allowing anyone else to have that that site. So this is just an example, and CampWorks will automatically add this fee on to the reservation. if you check the requested rental space checkbox on the reservation. Okay, so that gets us through the various different setup fees that we now have in CampWorks 3.11. Another part of 3.11 is the online backup. Online backup is now included for everyone. Basically, we want you to be able to have your data safe, stored on the cloud, so that if there's ever a fire or natural disaster of some sort at your office, you have a safe backup. Your data is your most critical asset. We can always reinstall the software if something happens to your computer, but if you lose the data, you are starting from scratch. Now, if for some reason you have other means of keeping it safe and you do not want your data on the cloud, or you do not want it backed up, then just disable this checkbox. Another feature that you'll just want to verify is that the currency, if you're using credit card processing, is set to USD versus CAD. If you're a US customer, it should default to that. If you're one of our Canadian customers, then check the CAD button so that you can process in Canadian dollars. And lastly, in setup, there is a new option under additional options at the bottom. Apply daily amp adders to weekly reservations. So before, if you used the 30 amp or 50 amp automatic adders for your pricing, it only did it on daily reservations. If you want that daily amount also applied onto weekly reservations, then check this box down at the bottom. And what it will do, let's say you have a $3 adder each day for daily reservations, if it's a 50 amp hookup on the rig that's being put on that site. Now on a weekly reservation, it would, for those 7 days of the week, or anything that's on a weekly rate, it would also add the $3 times 7, so basically it would add $21 then to the rate for that particular weekly reservation. So another option that you can use if it fits your situation. Now let's look at a few of these changes in action. So let's create a new reservation. Let's do a returning guest. Pick one of my test profiles. I have quite a few. And I'm just not going to worry too much. Just make one for today. Create a reservation and save it. Okay, now the first thing I want to show you is that if you look down in this bottom grid, that now the $1 booking fee has automatically been added to the reservation. Let's say this was a requested rental space and we have that guaranteed rental space fee set up. So if I check that, it's asking if we should charge that fee. Let's hit yes. And then always on these fees, you need to decide the date. If it is a non-refundable fee, like a lot of times a guaranteed site fee or a booking fee would be a non-refundable fee, it makes sense that the charge should be the current date. If it's something that could get canceled out or really doesn't apply till check-in, like the actual rental space charges, then those typically would be at the check-in date. But we'll leave this as the current date. Now you see the balance went up. If we look at the list, we see the $15 guaranteed site fee is included and the booking fee of $1 is still there. Okay, let's show you one other thing. Let's do a payment. So let's do a new payment. I want to show you something that's changed on this screen. And we're just going to do a credit card manual payment. Now we've had the credit card surcharge fee we have built in. So it's telling us that if a credit card is selected, it's going to add an additional $1.76 on top of this for the credit card surcharge fee, and that the total amount is $55.74 that will be charged on the card. So this gives you the opportunity to explain this to the guest right then. You'll know the exact amount and what the total is going to be. So let's hit OK. Now you'll notice this form is just a little bit different for those of you that use the integrated credit card processing. The $1.76 is noted on here. If you change it to debit, that goes away. Change it to credit, goes back, shows you the $1.76 convenience fee. All right, so let's enter test card number so I can process this transaction and hit submit. I don't need to print one. Okay, so now the total applied was $55.74, and if we go back to this this screen, now we can see the convenience fee of $1.76 was added on to the reservation. So remember the balance before was 53 something or whatever it was, and now it added that $1.76 on as a charge, but then also collected it as a payment. So everything balances out. One other key area that I'd like to point out is that we've done quite a bit of work in the rate calculation, recalculation area to try to make CampWorks better at doing rates the way you would like it done and recalculating when it's appropriate. So one of the first things that I want to point out is up until check-in, anytime you save the reservation before, it would always recalculate the rates. Well, there might be times when you don't want to recalculate rates, but before there was no option, it just automatically did it. Now after check-in things were different, but before check-in it would always recalc. So like if you made a rate change, then it would automatically pick that up when you hit save. Now in 3.11 it no longer automatically will update the rates. So it will do it only upon changes to the reservation that we know will affect it. So let's go in and change it to, let's say, 3 adults. And now we hit save, and it will say changes have been made that to the reservation that could affect the rates. Do you want to recalculate the rates? So it always gives you the option. In the older versions, it never gave you the option. It pretty much just did it. So now you have the option. So if you have a reservation that you are making changes, but you're happy with the way it's charging, you do not want anything to change with the charging, you can always hit no to this and don't recalculate. But anytime you hit yes, it will recalculate it. Now this one, it added the adult charge because this one had a occupancy set to 2, and so I added the adult charge, so it went up. So that's an example. Same thing if you change dates or extend the stay. So let's go to the 20th. Hit save. Yep, it's going to recalculate. Yes. Okay, so now it's changed the rates. So that's a big difference. And another thing, the recalculate button is always there. You always have the ability now to recalculate anytime you want. If you want, you can just hit recalculate and it will now in this case it's not going to change anything, the rates are all right. If you had made other changes and you just want it to recalculate, you can hit the recalculate button to redo those rates. A couple of other features that we've added in that give you a little bit more control over the rates. In our visits meeting with customers, one of the things that we noticed, there was a lot of charges and discounts that were happening to try to compensate for something not calculating correctly. First of all, we're trying to help you to make sure it's set up so everything calculates correctly. But in the case you do need to make an adjustment, we made 2 changes to help with that. One is if you do a custom charge, first of all, it automatically fills in the rental space, which it didn't do before, so less that you need to fill out. And you also have the ability now with this custom charge to use a negative number if you need to do like a minus $10, like you want to give them a $10 adjustment to their rate. And so we'll just do this and we'll call it Keith Special, hit OK, and now it put in this $10 adjustment. And by doing this, it now doesn't report as a discount, it reports as a rate adjustment. So it's if you had a rate that wasn't calculating right before you would put in a discount, then it would be listed on the discounts report, maybe not accurate. So this is a way for you to correct a rate or do a rate adjustment. The other way, so that's with a custom charge. The other way is similar, but it is specifically to adjust the rate, and it will put in a rate adjustment code. And so then let's say I want to do a minus $25 here and hit OK. So this one always gets coded as rate adjustment. And the nice thing about that then is all of these rate adjustments, if you're making rate adjustments, they'll all be grouped together on reports as rate adjustment. They don't all have their own names, and it will be easier to spot those. And so you can decide how to instruct your staff on how to use these functions, but they are there now to try to eliminate a lot of the extra charges and discounts that people would put in the bottom matrix to try to adjust rates. The last key area I want to point out on the kind of the general operation is in the guest profile. And first of all, I'll just take a second to explain and make sure everyone is crystal clear on these are two completely separate things. So this is the reservation. You're all well aware of the reservation. Reservations are temporary. They're used while the guest is there. After they're checked out, they're kind of done. The guest profile, on the other hand, is a similar screen that is a permanent record of the guest and their information. But one of the new things that we've added, this can be used for charge accounts, which many of you don't use, but that would be if you click this button, essentially you can create this as a charge account, meaning they're like a business that's buying propane from you and you just want to charge things to them without a reservation. Okay, but most of you will not use that feature. However, we've added this tab also for guests that you want to apply a credit to, or you want to make a charge or something specifically just to the account. It's not reservation dependent. And so there's a whole nother video we'll do on charge accounts and how on account credit and how to apply account credit. But I just want to point out in this video that this tab exists, and we want to make sure you and your staff do not get confused because it has similar features like payments and charges and discounts to a reservation. And we've put it all in bright yellow so that you can differentiate and visibly see you're in a different screen. But we don't want people to accidentally put charges or discounts or payments on a guest profile when they meant to put them on a reservation. So I just want to point that out. The last key area that I want to point out of really impacts to daily operations is the reporting section. There are a couple of new reports. There's one change to the accounting summary. So there are several changes, but I just want to make sure that for the standard reports that you're using every day, that everyone knows how to look into this. So first of all, the original accounting summary report is now in the archive area because basically we will be obsoleting it over time. It's replaced by the new one. So let's look at the accounting summary. I'll do it for a couple days so I know we have some data. So the new accounting summary report, very similar to the old one, other than we have now split out some things to show you in a more detailed area the fixed charges that we know, categories of charges that we know are there, like cancellation fees, online reservation fees, standard reservation booking fees. That would be the adder that's now on a per reservation, so you can see how much is being charged. The guaranteed rental space fees, again, that specific type of charge if you use those, and credit card surcharge fees, and then everything else would just be another. So other things, you'll notice golf carts up here. That's a new feature we'll explain in another video. But you have the ability now to change one of your types, like in this case rooms was renamed to be golf carts. So you could use the rooms feature of CampWorks and call it golf carts and rent out golf carts and keep track of reservations and everything for golf carts. The other thing is there were fixed categories on here of boat slips and storage units, etc. If they're not being used, they will now be hidden. So if you don't use any of those types, they will not show up on this report. Lastly, on here, a couple of other things. We've added the account credit section at the bottom. So now, and we'll have another video that will explain the details about account credit, but this will give you a summary then each day of how much account credit was issued and how much account credit was applied. So watch the other video to get all the details on that. And by the way, there are two new reports, or there's a new report for account credits so that you can see just if you want to see the details of account credits. Another new report that you may find useful is a all payments report. And so it will not show credits on it. It will only be the payments. Oops, went to the wrong section. Receipts. Okay, so here's the account credits issued applied report that I just mentioned. This is the other one, the all payments by payment type report. So this one will show all the payments that have come in the different areas. So here's all of your reservation cash that's come in, every transaction for that, any credit debit, and then if you had anything come through point of sale. So, and then if anything that was paid on an account, so not in a reservation, but in an account. So those are the four main sections. So hopefully that covers the basis for you on all of the major changes that impact kind of the day-to-day operation. And next I'll go into just some of the new features and just give you a very quick brief look into those, and there'll be separate videos to explain all of those in detail. One of the important features to help you deal with COVID and probably a lot more cancellations and credits and things that normally we would normally never have to deal with, or it's very seldom, is the account credit feature. And again, I'm not going to go into all the detail, but I'm just going to show you quickly roughly what it is and how it works. So this guest, for example, has a credit balance of $100. If I check them out, CampWorks would ask, do you want to put this, do you want to refund this, or do you want to put this on their account? So I want it on their account, but I'm also going to show you how I can do that by doing a new issuing a credit. So I'm going to say issue account credit. It puts the cash type as account credit. The amount is 100. I hit OK. Reservation now goes to 0. If I go to the guest profile and go into this tab that has all of the account credits on it, you can see that I've issued $100 of account credit. They already had 50 on their account from some other testing I was doing, so they have a credit balance of $150. Now when you create a new reservation for this guest, it would ask, do you want to apply the credit, and allow them to apply it. You can also manually apply it, credit, and you can manually enter credit in here. So like for example, I can do a new, I'm going to issue a credit, so I'm going to say issue a credit. This is just a warning saying make sure you're doing it right. Let's say I want to issue $25 of credit. Okay, so I've added $25 more of credit. Now they have $175. So this would be if I'm not taking money for them, it's just you've had a paper trail of credit, for example, that you've been keeping track of, and you want to now get it in CampWorks in their profile, put it in their profile. That way now you have the $25 in and can apply it to reservations. So just a quick crash course on that. We'll have a separate video that goes through all the detail. Another change hopefully you'll like is that we've made the reservation grid sizable and easier to read and use. For example, you can change the font, come back out, open it up, and you can see how it's changed and everything is bigger and easier to see. So especially on big monitors, where high resolution monitors where this can get really small, just makes it that much easier to use and see. Another feature that you'll notice on the grid is, see these with dots on it? These are segmented stay reservations, and that basically means this reservation, we've used a new feature called the segmented stay, and see how it says segmented stay in red. I can manage that stay, and it shows that they are on rental space 7 from 519 to 521, and then on space 9 from 521 to 525, and you can change segments, add segments, and when you that should all be split out in their payments and keep in their charges and keep their charges accurate. So for example, if they have a weekly rate or multiple sites, it doesn't start the reservation over. Previously you had to do multiple reservations. Now with this feature you can do it all in one reservation, and we'll cover all the details in another training video. Another new feature is the rentals module. So this rentals module gives you the opportunity to have things like, and I only have 2 available. Let's see, I have a bunch checked out. So I have different categories I've set up, like cable boxes. You could have boats. You could have kayaks, different things that you essentially can rent out or loan out. Could be games, could be fire pits, could be a number of things. I know cable boxes and internet boxes are pretty common. But you can define your assets that you want to rent out, lease out, borrow out, and what you charge for them. And through this, essentially, you can keep track of who has what and to what reservation. So let's say these 2 are still available. It's basically a first come, first serve. So let's just do this one, boat, and who do you want to do it for? It's either an existing guest in the system that does not have a reservation, or I could look up a reservation. And so let's pick this one. So I'm going to charge it to their reservation and check it out. I can add any notes. It's going to be charged hourly. I'm going to do, say, 4 hours. Okay, and now it basically adds that charge. You can see the rental charge for boat number 2, $80 onto their account. Now you would just go in here and pay for it, etc., however they want. And then when it's time to check it back in, you just go to the items that are checked out, find the one that you want, and boat 2, and check it back in, and rental return. So your way to keep track of it. Just another feature for you to use for your various different assets that you want to keep track of. One last feature that we're really excited about that we hope can really help you to improve your business, especially the top line, is the dynamic pricing. Dynamic pricing is the type of model that airlines use, hotels use, etc., to increase pricing as your business is more utilized or your occupancy goes up. And so with dynamic pricing, you have the flexibility of creating different rules, and those rules will then adjust your pricing for that particular group of sites or time period based off of the rules you establish. With dynamic pricing enabled, essentially these rules will be used to adjust the base rate of the rate for whatever site the reservation is for. So let's look at a few of these rules. For example, at 50%, so let's look at the rule down at the bottom. This one will adjust premium full hookup sites for rate period 2019. If the occupancy is greater than 50%, it will increase the base rate by $10. This rule was set up to do the same thing, basically only the premium full hookup sites. You could select multiple, but if the occupancy is greater than 75%, then it would increase it by 15 instead of the 10. And then the last rule that's entered in is the big one, which is same thing, premium full hookup 2019, 95%. Basically it's saying for those last 5% of your sites, it is going to double the rate, so increase the rate by 100%. So your base rate goes up 100%, and then any adders on top of that, like for 50 amp service, if that's $5, it's still $5 on top of whatever. It's just adjusting the base rate. That's just one of the many ways we're trying to help you to increase revenue with feature changes and additions to CampWorks. The last major change, which we'll have another video to describe, is the integration with CampWorks Connect. There's a few minor things that are less visible to you in CampWorks Connect integration, but our new mobile app that was announced this winter is now available. We'll have another video to fully explain that, and we'll be sending information shortly. But the CampWorks Connect app has significant opportunity to help you market your business, support you in social distancing requirements, as it has remote check-in and online reservation capability, access to gate codes, things like that, that your welcome package that you normally deliver in person. So Hopefully we don't have to deal with social distancing long term, but it is a nice tool to help you in this time, and I think you will find it a very valuable tool to market your business in the long run. The other changes in CampWorks 3.11 are less notable, but there's a lot of efficiency improvements and bugs that we fixed that we found from previous versions, so just should make a cleaner, easier to use, more efficient software for 3.11. So that covers it for this time, and looking forward to speaking to you guys. If you have questions or concerns, don't hesitate to give us a call. We're here to help you.